early start this morning. It's about 2:30, so quite calm, and we'll use a bit of this to get out to Heron Island. I think it's going to be a big day, about 58 nautical miles I think, so I've got about 11 hours to get down there, but we're going to get a couple of really nice days after that, so it'll be good for exploring the reef, getting into Mussy, and yeah, we've just got to start it in the dark. No big deal. I've got the radar going and the plotter on, so we'll keep an eye out, and it's good to be working into daylight. All the storms seem to have gone. We had a really wild night last night, lots of thunder and lightning and wind, but we got through that all right. And yeah, time to head south. A new day. We've got Cape Capricorn out to the right here, and it's a bit dull looking, but I think it's going to be all right. And the conditions are pretty good, really. I'm going to hook this sail out a bit further and maybe get a bit of it. We're pushing a lot of tide. I've got about 1.5 metres of tide heading us at the moment, so we're down to about 4.5. So that's making our trip longer, but it's pleasant enough in these conditions, so it's all good. Bit of sun will be nice and some brekkie, I guess. Coast Guard Lagoon, Coast Guard Lagoon. This is Peggy Ann. This is Peggy Ann. We'd like to just go on your log, please. We left GKI about 2 o'clock this morning. We're heading for Heron Island, ETA about 1500 this afternoon. Our registration number is Foxtrot Bravo 014 Quebec, and you should have our details there. Thanks, over.
Yeah, this is Coast Guard Japan, Romeo Circle. Just
the benefit of coming up the outside like this is you don't have to navigate quite as much. If you go through the Narrows down to Gladstone, you've got to navigate all the way through there because it's quite a narrow channel, it's all marked, so you've got to make sure you stay in shape. But out here I plotted a course up to Heron, and I've just got to make sure we stay on that course. I've got a ship coming out the shipping channel now. He's steaming along at 13 knots. So I'm keeping an eye on him. We're going to pass in front of him. I think we'll be okay. So yeah, it's a little bit cruisier doing it up the outside than it is coming up the inside. He looks like he's going to bear away a little bit and give us plenty of room, which is good. So what do you do to pass the time? Well, I can get the guitar out and play some songs. I've just pulled a bit of rope out of the tiller flat. Nearly lost the dinghy yesterday because the painter it just came loose. Actually, it was a splice I did in the painter, and it worked its way loose and came undone. So I'm going to make a new painter for the dinghy, and that'll keep me occupied for an hour or so as we head up the coast. But it's very pleasant out here today. I think the wind's starting to head us a bit. I might have to get rid of the sail in a minute, but we're still getting a little bit off it, but pretty fine off the bow now, so it's more there for a steady sail rather than giving us any drive, and I think pretty soon it's going to have to come in. Anyhow, another 5 or 6 hours and we'll be there. Little passenger at the moment. Well, we're coming up on Northwest Island now, so I think we're going to go in here and either anchor up or pick up a mooring. I think there's one mooring there, but it looks like a couple of boats there as well. So we'll go in and have a look and see what's available, see if we can anchor up somewhere. Looks like it might put us out of the wind if we get up behind the island. And I think the wind is supposed to be going around to the north, so that'd be better. If I can stay here tonight, that'll be great. And then we'll head to Heron and maybe Mussy the day after. I've got the pick down at Northwest Island, first time I've been here. There's one mooring here being used at the moment, but I've dropped the anchor in about 9 metres of water and I'm a fair way off the reef. You can see the reef out in front of us there, so there's a fringing reef, be careful of that. But I've dropped in 9 metres, I'll put about 40 metres of chain out. Should be a nice little spot. Looks like the weather's going to be good to us. Good to be here. Before I do anything, I've got a water pump to fix on the port hand motor, so we'll get in and do that. You can see there's a fair bit of water in the bilge. Now, first of all, let me tell you that I could have stopped on the way and fixed this pump, but the amount of water that's dripping in is just a pretty constant drip. But it's not going to sink you because it's salt water coming in from outside of the boat. It's not coolant water. I know that because there's no colour to it, so the coolant would be green. So I know it's salt water coming from my raw water pump. That's the water pump there, and it's just, you can see the drips coming off the bottom of it. So this is salt water in through this pipe, through a positive displacement pump, up through my heat exchanger, and then out through the exhaust. That's the normal circuit for it. But what's happening here? The seal in this pump is leaking. I've covered all this before on YouTube, so if you want to see how I repair these pumps, click the link in the top right hand corner. These guys have just arrived here and they're setting up camp. So how long are you guys here for?
We're here for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah. It's going to be a long trip, but we're ready for it. We're prepared.
Yeah. The only downside of it is you've got to go home, you know that.
Yeah. That's the problem. Always a tough time. It's a 21-day limit, I think, is the max limit on the island here.
Okay, so if you come out to camp...
make it to that this time, but yeah.
If you come out to camp, only 21 days.
If you want to stay the longest time possible.
And you come out in the barge?
Yeah, from Gladstone.
Is it expensive?
It's like $400, like $450 for your person, and then
including all the car stuff and then the ice. It ended up being $700 each for us.
Yeah. Well, that's not too bad. You'd pay that in a hotel somewhere, and you wouldn't be in nature.
Yeah, I was just in Brunswick Heads the other week, and it was like $3,000 for an Airbnb for like 4 or 5 days. So this is cheap.
Oh, listen, I'll let you keep on setting up.
Yeah, no worries.
But have a good time here. I hope you get good weather.
Yeah, hopefully.
You're lucky when you come back.
Okay, a quick visit over to Northwest Island. Quite a few people camped over there. Talked to some young people who were setting up camp. Yeah, the turtles are nesting, so there's lots of nesting going on at the moment. But yeah, a couple of things you've got to do to visit out here. You've got to get the weather right first and foremost, and what you really need is very light wind days. So if you can get days where the wind is down to 10 knots or under, ideally, it'll make you stay here a lot more comfortable. The other thing is you need high tide to get up onto the beach. So I couldn't get here low tide yesterday. Yeah, you need a high tide to get to the beach. There's a lot of fringing reef around the island. But yeah, it's definitely worth a look, and I had a very pleasant night last night. Like, there was no wind at all. And sorry, that's just my plotter telling me it can't find the AIS. But anyway, it's time to go. I've just hauled the dinghy up on the back of the boat, and we're going to head a bit further down to, I'll go to Wistari, have a look there, and maybe even down to Heron, or maybe even a bit further down. And we'll use some of this really good weather up, but I'm going to run out of this weather come Thursday. And on Thursday, I'm going to be leaving the lagoon at Lady Musgrave and heading to Bundy. It'll probably be 15 to 20, 25 maybe. Running with it, I can handle that, and it'll be a good little motor sail down to Bundaberg, a long trip. Anyway, let's get the anchor up and get this show on the road. Just going to stick my head over the back and see how that water's coming out after repairing a pump yesterday. Well, there's water there. I'll just keep an eye on the temperatures as we head down, make sure there's enough coming through. No leaks, good. There are hundreds of little sand cays, sand islands and reefs in this area. You can probably get some sort of shelter behind the reefs, but it could be quite uncomfortable too. We're just heading out through a lot of reefy areas here now. Careful navigation is required, and we're heading down to Fitzroy Reef and Heron Island, so we'll go and have a look at that. That's Heron Island, you can see in the distance, but we're going to head past that, go a bit further south. Weather's just beautiful today. A bit of a carnivore lunch. This is One Tree Island. I was thinking of anchoring off, but I had a look in the book. There's a research centre on it, and it's a zone that you're not allowed to anchor in, so you've got to be 500 metres off the reef. So we'll push on to Fitzroy. Looked interesting. There's a building or something there, maybe part of the research centre. But it's a no-go zone for boaties, obviously. So we've got about another hour to go in this direction and we'll be at Fitzroy Reef. See a fair bit of reef out. It's quite a narrow channel in, so careful navigation as you're coming through here. If you want to watch the complete trip into Fitzroy Lagoon, please check out my Bays and Bars on the East Coast of Australia channel. The link's up in the top corner. So with the drone I can see a patch of sand up in front of us there, so we'll go and see if we can find it.